pleasure to welcome you as new citizens. In addition to welcoming you, I want to congratulate you, thank you, and remind you of the responsibilities that you assume today. Congratulations are undoubtedly the first item in order. It took a great deal of courage and commitment for each of you to become a United States citizen. Almost all of you have met people and places that you love. Some of you came to the United States rather easily, countries like Canada, from the United Kingdom or generally. But I know that it was difficult for some of you at least to decide to become a United States citizen. You've just taken an oath to renounce your political allegiance to the country in which you were born. Often that was the home of your parents and your ancestors going back for many generations. And I wonder how many of you really have no mental reservations on doing it. But you made a thoughtful decision to become a United States citizen, and that is impressive. Others of you I know have had to confront great dangers to get to this country. Some of you are from El Salvador, a country torn by violence. I know that people, including young children, are taking enormous risks, life-threatening risks, and long journeys to try to get to the United States. And others of you come from Vietnam, Cambodia, Kampuchea, and yourself, or came to parents, like the parents of my daughter-in-law, Chanda, spent time in refugee camps. Sometimes took great risks to escape countries like Vietnam in boats. And the people I mentioned really only represent the courage and commitment of every single one of you. The challenges, I expect, didn't end when you got to the United States. Many of you have experienced loneliness here, encountered a strange language, manners. Decades ago, in one of these ceremonies, my good friend Yo-Yo Ma, world-renowned cellist and humanitarian, spoke. He talked about coming to the United States as a young child and seeing things that you'd never seen or experienced before, like packaged cheese and tall buildings. And it made me realize that it would be valuable if we could all see the United States through the eyes of newcomers, question things that many of us take for granted. Because if we did that, I think it might strengthen what the great Judge Learned Hand said in the Naturalization ceremony in 1944 in Central Park, with thousands of new citizens. He spoke about the spirit of liberty. And what's the spirit of liberty? It's the spirit that's not too sure that it is right, that respects others. And I think we would all be enriched if we could reawaken a spirit of liberty that, getting to know you, will rekindle, I hope, in many other people. I'm sorry to say that I expect that many of you have also experienced difficulties or indeed discrimination in the United States. On another occasion, decades ago, the speaker would be, was the president of the International Organization of Chief Executive Officers, people who ran some of the biggest businesses throughout the world. He talked about coming here as a boy, a refugee from Nazi Germany, and sometimes getting beat up on the way to school because he spoke with an accent. He dressed differently than the other kids. As I say, sorry to expect that some of you may have experienced that too. But you waited, you worked, you studied for a challenging exam, you passed, and today you become new citizens. So today is obviously a great milestone and achievement in your life, and each of us congratulates every one of you. While it's obvious that this is a great day, evident that you've also made this an important day in America. If you look at any United States coin, like this pen that I'm holding, you'll see that on the back it has in Latin America's motto, E pluribus unum. That means from many one. Now, originally that motto was adopted because from many colonies, one United States was formed. But over time, our mottos have come to have a more profound meaning for America. It means that we are a nation established and sustained by people from many countries, of many races, and of many religions. And that nation has ambitious ideas. We aspire to have government of the people, by the people, and for the people in order to secure our precious but precarious rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You have a special understanding of these ideas. Indeed, many of you were truly American long before you ever came to this country. You may have lived far away and spoken a foreign language. You may have been persecuted and oppressed. But you yearn for a land which promised freedom, equality, and you yearn for the opportunity to contribute to the fulfillment of that promise. That's why so many of you took such great risks to come here. You now know the United States is imperfect. The streets are not paved with gold, as people like my grandmother who came here from Russia at the beginning of the 19th century may have expected. More significantly, you know that freedom and equality have not been completely achieved in this country. Now, some Americans born in this country see this, and they're critical, indeed cynical, about whether those lofty statements of Abraham Lincoln and Thomas Jefferson that I quoted a moment ago were sincere and significant. And many others are apathetic and take being a United States citizen for granted. But your coming has sent us a message. You remind us that despite its imperfections, the United States remains special to many people throughout the world. It also reminds us that we have a unique role and that we have a responsibility to sustain the United States standing as the world's best home. So we thank you for delivering that important message. And in fact, that message is particularly important now. Last September, we recognized, I would say celebrate, recall particularly vividly, it was the 50th anniversary of 9/11. September 11th, 2001. On September 13, 2001, I conducted another naturalization ceremony here. And I noted that President George Bush said the day before that America was targeted for attack because we are the brightest beacon of freedom and opportunity in the world. And, of course, since 9/11, we've been subject to other attacks, including the Marathon bombing several years ago. And these attacks painfully educate us to understand more deeply that there are some people in the world who passionately resent the United States. They're threatened by the example of a nation that permits and indeed encourages its people to think and speak freely and offers women an equal opportunity to fulfill their potential. Now, after 9/11 and other times since, many Americans have asked, why does everybody hate us? And as I responded on September 13, 2001, and reiterate now, you've come here to become citizens of those dozens of countries that I read as you stood up. And you're coming to this country, becoming United States citizens today, importantly teaches us that those who resent this country are far outnumbered by those who are inspired by it, and we can and do make a real difference to wonderful people throughout the said earlier, we have a duty to continue to do that. As new citizens, you now share this responsibility. Felix Frankfurter came from Austria in 1894. He was naturalized at the age of 12. He became a justice in the United States Supreme Court, where he wore this judicial robe that I'm wearing today. Justice Frankfurter often quoted with conviction the wise words of his mentor, Supreme Court Justice Louis Brandeis, who said, in this country, the highest office is citizen. You have now assumed that high office. Your office, like my office, any public office, has duties. You have the duty to be informed, you have the duty to participate in the political process, you have the duty to vote, you have the duty to work to make the United States the country you hope to find and as you want it to be. And your participation will be very valuable, because newcomers have always given renewed energy and integrity to our nation's ideals. It's important that you extend this tradition, and I am confident that you will. You can also make a special contribution to your new nation by helping the rest of us understand parts of the world that have become vital to the United States. As you heard when I asked you to stand, for example, among you today are new citizens from Syria, Iran, Turkey, Russia, and Mexico. You and all of you are our living links to people we must understand better. You are uniquely capable of teaching us just by talking to your friends, your neighbors, and your coworkers. Now, I understand that may be awkward or difficult for some of you. You may have well-founded fears that some people will be suspicious of you because you still appear to be far from different. However, any suspicion should diminish and I hope disappear as more people get to know you as a real person rather than as a stereotype. Please remember that as American citizens, you have rights which the courts, judges like me, and other institutions have a duty to protect. In 1944, Supreme Court Justice Frank Murphy wisely wrote that all residents of this nation are kin in some way, by blood and culture, to a foreign land. Yet they are primarily and necessarily part of the new and distinct civilization of the United States. They must accordingly be treated in all as the heirs of the American experiment and is entitled to all the rights and freedoms guaranteed by the Constitution. Unfortunately, Justice Murphy wrote those words in dissent from the decision of the Supreme Court sustaining the conviction of Fred Coromantz, a United States citizen who was accused of remaining in a portion of California from which people of Japanese ancestry had been excluded by military order after the attack on Pearl Harbor. However, we're a nation that's often learned from its errors. Justice Murphy's eloquent insight should educate us all. So in addition to welcoming you, congratulating you, I've challenged you to contribute to your new nation by helping it to be faithful to its most ambitious and noblest aspirations. And I'm confident you'll contribute in this way. The U.S. has always been generous in admitting immigrants and refugees. They've always more than paid that generosity. To exemplify that, we have a special speaker today. Alana Hurwitz is from South Africa. I met her when, as a student at Harvard Law School, Alana was essentially trapped in the United States. I hope she'll tell you something about that. She became a law clerk to assistant to my friend and colleague, Judge Rita Zabel, herself a post-World War II refugee, to the United States. Ms. Hurwitz has been a law professor at Boston University, Boston College for almost 20 years. She's dedicated her talents to represent people seeking asylum for 27
7 years. 12 years, she was the director of the Political Asylum Immigration Representation Project. She now advises refugees on career development at the Boston Center for Refugee Health and Human Rights. In addition, as president of the board of directors of Self-Help Partners, Ilana forges partnerships concerning health and education between the United States and someone that she still loves. Ilana's daughter, Gina, and my former intern, is now a fellowship at Oxford in England, doing migration and refugee